What's up everyone, my name is Alpha and today we're back with another Pokemon challenge video. Today we're on Pokemon Sun and today's challenge we cannot beat Pokemon Sun Hardcore Nuzlocke using only EEVEELUTION Shiny. Shiny EEVEELUTIONs? Yeah, you guys get the title. So we're using only EEVEELUTIONs in our Hardcore Nuzlocke. And it's actually going to be a kind of a Nuzlocke. So we're going to use the Nuzlocke name, but we're not going to... It's not really a Nuzlocke. So the rules of this is that I can only catch shiny Eevees and use it on my team. Now, unfortunately, Eevees only spawn in 2 different routes. So we're going to have to grind out shiny Eevees in one spot. So it's kind of like the inverse of catching 1 Pokemon per route. You can only catch 1 Pokemon in 1 route, basically. And of course, to make it more fair, each of my Pokemon only has 1 life. So if they do faint, they are done. They have to be boxed. For this situation, since we have infinite amount of Eevees, we can only use 1 form once. So if that form ever faints, they are done. So hopefully we don't faint with just Eevee, or we can't use that we can't use that form anymore. So we basically have 7 or 8 forms. You can count basic Eevee, which I do. So we have a decent amount of lives to hopefully get past the challenge. And of course, to make it even more difficult, there's additional rules. There's a level cap. Of course, the level cap is based on each island kahuna or grand trial per island. We have to do every single trial in the game, the main game. Of course, you have to play on set mode, so you can't switch out when you beat a Pokemon on the opposing team. And there's also no items inside a battle. You can use hell items, but you can't use any other items from your bag while you're in the battle. So it's going to be pretty interesting. One additional rule that's going to be really fun. Each of my Pokemon will be nicknamed after you guys in the comments. So thanks so much for leaving a nickname in my previous challenge video. If you guys want to be nicknamed after your future Pokemon, just drop in the comments and hopefully you'll pick yours. And while you're down there, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, let's get into the challenge video itself. So to begin off, obviously we don't get Eevees into the second island of the game. So unfortunately, we're going to have to spawn in ourselves a shiny Eevee, which I wouldn't mind, you know. Free shiny, easier for me to get past because I don't have to shiny hunt for this one. No looking at the cutscenes for a starter Pokemon. Thinking back to it, I guess I could have just customized the starters, but that would have just made me sit through a bunch of cutscenes for a longer period of time. But anyways, once we get a shiny Eevee, the most important thing for us to do is actually play with it in the Pokemon refresh, which surprisingly is the most important thing for us. We want our Eevees to really like us to get 2 hearts in affection. Which is going to be not too hard to do. You just basically got to do it like 2 or 3 times, and then it'll just up the affection. And once you up the affection and you have a fairy move, you can evolve it into Sylveon, which is probably the best evolution. Up there with Espeon. It's pretty hard to rival Espeon, but this thing, it rivals Espeon. In some cases, it's actually better than Espeon. In Generation 6, it was way better than Espeon. But once we get Sylveon, we can move on. We're going to beat the Pokemon School, and there is some moves that you want to teach it. You want to teach it Workout and also Echo Voice. I try to give the Eevee Anticipation as a hidden ability, but I guess there's something more into the code for a Pokemon to have the hidden ability. So unfortunately I didn't get Pixelate, but you know what, Q-Charm works out. We still get an Echo Voice and it beats a Lima pretty easily. Now we can move on and we'll face off against the Totem Gumshoes, which isn't too difficult. We do go down on low HP, but that's mainly because of the Super Fang it hits me with on their first turn. But after that, we only need 3 Echo Voices to knock out the Gumshoes and 1 to knock out the Yungoos. As we're able to basically clear through the first trial without any trouble. We're going to move on into the first grand trial of the game. We're face off against Hala. Hala is the first grand trial and kahuna in the game. We're start with a Mankey. He's a fighting type kahuna. So we're going to actually start boosting up Echo Voice. I'm not too sure why I did this. I could have just had the same effect by going with Workout and then Fairy Wind. I don't know, because once the Makuhita comes out after we beat the Mankey, it's going to fake us out and then reset our Echo Voice. And I'm like, oh wait, I'm just throwing. So I decided to use Fairy Wind at this point, but I'm missing a lot of attacks already and it's getting more sand attacks. Eventually I'm able to knock out the Makuhita, but then he sends out his Crab Brawler. I'm unable to land any hits at all. I just need to land 1 more Fairy Wind, but it's getting me down to low HP. Eventually I get lucky enough and land a move before it does, and we're able to beat down Hala. But if we had worse RNG, we'd probably lose that battle with a fairy type, unironically. But anyways, once we're done with that, we're able to move on into Route 4 in Akala Island. And now in Route 4, you're able to, well, this is the spot. This is where we found ourselves in Eevee. You can also find Eevees in Route 6. There's no real difference. We're going to spend our time finding ourselves a shiny Eevee, which isn't the most fun thing. It's a 5% encounter at day or night. So, yeah, we have to find 5 of these, and it's really not fun. We're able to catch ourselves a few once in the morning, and then it rolls over after a couple hours. And eventually we're able to find ourselves another Eevee, and then another one, and then finally we get our last one, which it's super annoying, super annoying. Eventually, we're able to also evolve one of our EVs into an Umbreon because it maxed out in its happiness at nighttime, and we can also evolve another one into Espeon at daytime. So we had 2 more evolutions for us to use around, and from there we're going to face off against the Totem Wishy-Washy. Now this Totem Wishy-Washy isn't too difficult at all. We start the battle off against him using my Sylveon. Sylveon's work up and is able to have Draining Kiss as well as a recovery move. Draining Kiss will always stay on my moveset because it's free recovery and we can't use items side of battle, so it's pretty good. Once we're able to get set up, we're able to 2-shot into the Totem Wishy-Washy, which is insane. From there, we're going to move out and face off against the Totem Salazzle, which I kind of messed up a little bit. So my Espeon has Side Beam. It's pretty good. I'm able to work up, and then unfortunately, in the middle of all this, I use Swift, try to knock out the Salazzle. Now I lower my own speed, and if it actually Flame Burst me and the Venom Shock, I'm pretty sure I would have lost my Espeon. But lucky enough, the Salazzle didn't do that, and it kept going for Venom Drench, which works for me, as we're able to beat down the Totem Salazzle, move out to my Umbreon to knock out the Salandit, and we're able to clear through the Fire Totem pretty easily. Now from there, we can move out into the Grass Trial, which there is a Mozzie Rock back here, and surprisingly, I do want a Leafeon. Leafeon is going to be pretty useful comparatively to a Flareon, so I decided to get myself a Leafeon and then move on and face off against the Totem Lurantis. Now this Totem always gives me trouble, but I think I figured out a pretty easy way to do this. If I use Baby Doll Eyes to lower his attack stat, I'm able to survive more hits against him. Even though it's going to SOS a Trumbeak and steal my Citrus Berry, it's still fine. I still have some recovery with my Sylveon. And then from there I can move out into my Umbreon or my Espeon, and I'm able to do a lot of damage against them. And we're going to 3-shot it with Side Beam as we're able to beat down Lurantis, which probably is the easiest time I've ever had with Lurantis. I go out to my Umbreon after that and beat down the Trumbeak, and we're able to beat down the Grass Trial without any troubles at all. Now from there we're able to go into the Stone Merchant, get ourselves a Water Stone and also a Thunderstone. Now these will obviously evolve ourselves into a Vaporeon and also Jolteon. Fortunately, I don't have a lot of moves for Jolteon right now, but my Vaporeon, it has Scald, and Scald is going to be the strongest move it's going to have for the entire game. So from there, we're going to face off against the second Grand Trial in the game. We're going to face off against Olivia. Olivia is going to be the Rock Kahuna in the game, and we're set to battle off against her using my Espeon. Now, this doesn't make too much sense. She's a Rock type, but I just don't want her to get paralyzed. I don't want to use my Vaporeon too early so it doesn't get paralyzed. But we're able to beat down the Nosepass using my Grass Knot Espeon, which is pretty cool. From there, she can switch out to her Ace Lycanroc, which is going to go for a Z move, obviously. So I switch out to my Umbreon, which is the tankiest evolution. I also get a Baby Doll Eyes on it, so it lowers the attack stat. And from there, it's just going to miss a bunch of moves. I'm able to go into my Vaporeon after that, Skull to knock out the Lycanroc, and also Skull twice into the Bodor to knock him out. And we're able to beat down Olivia pretty easily. Get ourselves the Grand Trial, second Grand Trial, then move on to the third island in the game. We're able to face off against this random Steel Trial trainer. Okay, the Steel Trial Captain. Okay, random battle. From there, we can face off against the Vikavolt one, which we're able to use our Jolteon's Voltazorb against him and knock him out, which is really nice. And from there, we're able to just beat down the final Charger Bug, and we're able to clear through the Electroshock. Nothing really special happens here at all. Now, something actually special happens here. We face off against the hardest Totem. We face off against Mimikyu. We're set to battle off against Mimikyu using my Vaporeon. The same thing against the Lurantis. This thing's difficult unless she lowers the attack stat. It's a physical attacker, so we're just going to keep using a bunch of Baby Doll Eyes, and eventually, once I get bored of that, I decide to use Skull to break his disguise, and I do a lot of damage with it. Since I also have the Mystic Water, I'm hoping for a second burn since I already used his Lumberry, but unfortunately I don't get it. It lowers me to low HP, but I also lower it to low HP, and from there I switched out to my Jolteon because I know it's going to outspeed everything. Unfortunately, the Haunter just puts me to sleep, so I switched out into my Sylveon, and look at how Sylveon's still able to just outspeed and knock out the Mimikyu. And from there, we're able to just 1v1 against the Haunter, and we're able to beat down the Haunter as we're able to clear through the Ghost Trial. Now, from there, we're just going to face off against Guzma, which isn't too difficult at all. I mean, Jolteon's just so fun to use. Just one-shots the Galistopod and then just 2 shots into the Ariados. Easily able to beat down Guzma, and from there, we're going to face off against the third Grand Trial in the game. We're going to face off against Nanu. Nanu's a dark type Kahuna, and it's going to start the battle off against using a Sableye, as I start off with obviously my Sylveon. Now, this is pretty much a Sylveon free match, as I'm able to go for a Moonblast. I went for a Work Up. I'm not too sure. I'm just trolling at this point. It goes for Shadow Ball. It lowers my special defense as I go for Draining Kiss after that. It doesn't kill it, actually, so that's surprising. From there, I'm able to knock out the Sableye, and then from there, he's going to switch out to his Crocorock. It outspeeds me, which is surprising, and it swaggers me, but lucky enough, I land a hit and Draining Kiss to get my HP back against him. From there, he's gonna switch out into his Persian, which I'm pretty sure I can't really lose anything from this, so he's gonna go for a power gem as I live it pretty easily, and then I break through Confusion, Moonblast to knock out the Persian in one shot, as ready to beat down Nanu in like 4 turns. So yeah, Grand Trial down, it wasn't too difficult at all. Now we're gonna move on and face off against the Aether Foundation next. We're gonna face off against Lucamine. Oh my god, almost lose my Sylveon against the Milotic, but works out as we're to beat down the Milotic and also the Beware pretty easily. After we clear through the Aether Foundation, we're to go face off against Hapu, the final Grand Trial in the game, the ground type Kahuna in the game, and we're able to start the battle off against her using my Vaporeon against her Dugtrio, which we're able to scald it and one-shot it pretty easily, but we take a lot of damage. So we're not too comfortable staying in against the Mudsdale. We're going to switch out to my Leafeon, which can take the hit pretty easily. I go for a Baby Doll Eyes, which I think it might be the strangest move to have on all my Pokemon, but it works out really well. As we're to just tank a hit against the Mudsdale and then tank a Z move against him as well. And from there, we could just stay in and then Leaf Blade him. And we get 2 crits back to back as we're able to beat down the Mudsdale. And from there, she can switch out into her Flygon, which I could go out into my Sylveon, dodge the Dragon Breath, and take the Earth Power pretty easily. And Moonblast would knock out the Flygon. I then kind of waste some time against the Gastrodon, waiting for it to go for recovers. And then I could switch into my Leafeon pretty safely. And then we're able to one-shot the Gastrodon as we're to beat down Hapu, the final Kahuna in the game, and also clear through the final Grand Trial. That wasn't actually the final trial in the game, that was just the final Grand Trial. I'm not too sure why there's a trial afterwards where you face off against a Como, but yeah, we face off against a Totem Como, and we're gonna Moonblast with my Sylveon, one-shot it. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the real battle. We're gonna face off against Lucamine, and we're gonna start the battle off against Lucamine using my Sylveon. As you see, this is a whole Sylveon show. We're gonna go for +6 against the Clefable, and we also have a healing move, so anything it does to me, I'm pretty fine with, unless it paralyzes me, which probably is the worst thing it could do. From there, once we get +6, we're able to go for Draining Kiss and then just heal up my entire HP against him. From there, you can switch out into your Lilligant, which goes for a Leech Seed, which is actually probably the best thing. It could went for anything else, like Teeter Dance would have been really annoying, but we're able to just Draining Kiss to get my HP back and knock out the Lilligant. From there, you can switch out to her Milotic, which outspeeds me. Sylveon's like terribly slow. We're also able to just go for a Moonblast and knock out the Milotic. You can avoid Leech Seed damage if you knock out the Pokemon in one turn, so there's nothing to Leech Seed onto. And from there, we're going to face off against the Beware, which we're able to Draining Kiss, get my entire HP bar back, and we're also able to knock him out in one shot. The Miss Magius comes out next, and we're able to just beat it down, as we're able to beat down Lucamine with one Pokemon. So we're able to easily beat down Lucamine and then face up against our rivals. We're beat down Gladion and also Howl, which, yeah, they're definitely characters in this game. From there, we're going to move on and face off against the Elite Four. Our first Elite Four member we're going to face off against is going to be Hala. Now, Hala's obviously the fighting type Elite Four member. We're going to start the battle off against him using my Sylveon. Now, I pretty much misplay with this because I was too confident with Sylveon. So I'm going to start the battle off against his Hariyama using my Sylveon. Obviously, Moonblast does not kill in one shot, and I take a close combat. So it's looking pretty tough for me. It lowers the special defense, so I decided to go for a Draining Kiss, and good play. Regaining a lot of HP, but then he switches out into his Grab Honorable, which I know it can outspeed. I know it hurts, it does a lot of damage, but I thought I could one-shot it, and it didn't one-shot at all. I don't know why I went for Draining Kiss, but it actually was the right play, because I got full HP, and it goes for Ice Hammer, almost one-shots me from full. Almost. I survive it, barely, but I'm able to Draining Kiss it once more again. I should have went for Moonblast. I think Moonblast would have 100% kill. I'm not too sure what I was thinking using Draining Kiss. But from there, he can switch out to his Poliwrath, which Moonblast does not even kill him. I maybe the Draining Kiss that thing as well. 2 shots into the Poliwrath would knock him out. He sends out his Primate next, which Cross Chop. If he had any other move, it would have killed me. But I go for Draining Kiss again. Draining Kiss is a broken move with Sylveon. Look at this. I get my HP bar all the way back up, and I'm able to knock out Primate. And his final Pokemon will be a Beware, which isn't too difficult at all. I'm actually running low on Draining Kiss PP comparatively to Moonblast. But we're able to beat down Hala pretty easily. And now we're going to move on and face off against Olivia. Olivia's the Rock type Elite Four member of the game. We're going to start the battle off against her using my Leafeon. Now, like I said, Leafeon's going to be more useful than Flareon. As I go for... Am I going for +6? I go for Baby Doll Eyes. That's not good. I just can go for Ancient Powers against me, which, lucky enough, I do have a berry, which eventually I will wake up using. So I get 2 Swords Dance up and then Leaf Blade to knock out the Relicanth. From there, you can switch out into her Golem, which I go for a Leaf Blade, take a Steamroller, but I survived pretty well as I'm able to 2-shot into the Golem. and then from there she can switch out into her Lightning Rock, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I outspeed this thing, and I do. So I outspeed it, Leaf Blade to knock out the Lightning Rock, and from there she can switch out to her Carbink, which I one-shot as well, and her final Pokemon will be a Probopass, which shouldn't really do anything against me, as I move to Leaf Blade, and it goes for Thunder Wave. And I actually didn't notice if I do outspeed or not, but I do outspeed while still being paralyzed, so that's kind of funny. So Leaf Blade would knock out the Probopass, as we're able to beat down Olivia pretty easily. Now from there, we're going to move on and face off against Accelera. Accelera is going to be the Ghost type Leaf Form member of the game, and we're going to start the battle off against her using my Sylveon against her Sableye. Now Sylveon's not going to be the main attraction here, I just want to knock out the Sableye, as it's going to do a lot of damage to me, but Moonblast will one-shot it pretty easily. From there, she's going to switch out to her Frostlass, which confuses me, and then I got to switch out. I'm not playing with this. I go out into my Umbreon, which we haven't seen in a little bit. Umbreon's able to do some nice damage against the Frostlass. It's getting a little annoying. It gets confused, then confused again, but eventually I don't hit myself. All my evolutions love me. Feint attack to knock them out. I always wonder if higher happiness equals like chances that you're not going to hit yourself in confusion, because it feels like most of my Pokemon with higher happiness never hits itself in confusion, but the lower happiness one is like 50-50. There shouldn't be some correlation, but it feels like there's correlation. But anyways, from there we're going to face off against her Delmise. Delmise is doing a lot of damage to me, so I decided to switch out into my Leafeon at one point. Good Pokemon. I go for a Swords Dance, and then it's going to go for a Shadow Ball and almost knocks me out. So Aerolite's got to kill him. So Aerolite does not kill him at all. So it's getting full restore. Lucky enough, I survived a second Shadow Ball, as I'm able to just knock him out with 2 Aerolaces. From there, she can switch out into her Palossand, and I was like, you know what? I'm pretty bold. Let's go for Leaf Blade. Lucky enough, Leaf Blade does knock out the Palossand, or that would look really bad on me. As we're able to beat down Palossand, her next Pokemon will be a Drifblim. I go out into my Jolteon, which I go for 2 discharges to knock out the Drifblim. As we're able to beat down Accelera and finish off the third Elite Four member. After that, we're going to face off against Kahili next. Kahili's going to be the Flying type Elite Four member of the game. We're going to start the battle off against her using obviously my Jolteon. Jolteon is just the wave. Jolteon's able to 2-shot into the Skarmory pretty easily, as you can see. It's going to hit it sturdy and also paralyzes it, but we're able to 2-shot it pretty easily. From there, she's going to switch out to her Oricorio, which I'm able to obviously one-shot with a crit with Discharge. And from there, she's going to switch out to her Crobat. I also one-shot it. This thing is just powerful. Jeez. From there, her next Pokemon will be a Manabuzz. I go for Thunder. It lives it pretty comfortably, I'm not going to lie. So it goes for another full restore, as I go for another Thunder. So I'm just going to double down on it. I'm able to go for a Discharge, knock out the Manabuzz. And her final Pokemon will be a Toucannon, which I go for a Discharge and just destroys it. So we're able to beat down Kahili in like 5 turns. From there, we're going to move on and face off against the champion. Well, actually, we're the champion of the game. We're going to face off against Professor Kukui, the challenger. I'm going to start the battle off against Professor Kukui's Lycan Rock using my Leafeon. Now, maybe not the best play, but I go for a Leaf Blade as it goes for a Stealth Rocks. I'm going to knock out the Lycan Rock, but it still gets Stealth Rocks up, which is annoying. From there, he's going to switch out to his Braviary next, which I go out to my Jolteon. I'm able to get a Discharge on it, and it's going to whirlwind me into my Leafeon. But I go back out into my Jolteon, takes a Brave Bird. Lucky enough, I do outspeed him because it's getting a little dicey over here. We're able to knock out the Braviary. From there, he's going to switch out to the Snorlax. I go out into my Umbreon next. Umbreon's able to take some decent moves. I mean, I'm Baby Doll-izing the Snorlax down a little bit. I have Moonlight as my move. I also confuse it at the end once I get -6 on his attack stat. So I can go out into my Leafeon. Now Leafeon is getting set up in front of the Snorlax, which actually works out for me because it doesn't get paralyzed. Lucky enough, it does not get paralyzed through all this. Once we get +4, we're able to Leaf Blade into the Snorlax and knock him out. From there, he's going to switch out to his Ninetales, which I'm like, hopefully it misses Blizzard. Please miss Blizzard, and it does miss Blizzard as we're able to Leaf Blade and knock out the Ninetales. From there, he's going to switch out to his Primarina, which I outspeed. I'm able to Leaf Blade and one-shot it pretty easily. From there, his final Pokemon will be a Magnezone, which I go for a Leaf Blade to break him down to half HP. And from there, I go out into anything. I decided to switch out into, well, I switched out to my Vaporeon, which, like, what? I knew it was going to go for Flash Cannon, so I'm hoping I could do some decent damage and burn it, but actually works out for me. I go for a Scald. Mystic Water crit actually kills the Magnezone from that range, and we're able to beat down Professor Kukui. And we actually beat down the entire game Pokemon Sun with only evolutions without a single death. So a flawless win. Surprisingly, it actually works out for us. I don't know how at the end. You know, the only time I actually needed Flareon was that last portion of the game. But surprisingly, everyone came in handy. Everyone had a purpose. Surprisingly, Espeon was actually the most useless member of my team. I had like little use of Espeon, because Sylveon like pretty much did all the things Espeon did, but a little bit better. And Umbreon was a tank, obviously. Leafeon was setup mon. Vaporeon is Skull spam, and also Jolteon was electric spam, so it was actually a crazy combo. Espeon was actually the weakest link, surprisingly. Who would have known if I did an evolution video that Espeon would have been the worst Pokemon on it? That if I use Flareon, pretty much guarantee a free win against the Magzone if I didn't have that Scald crit at the end. But anyways, that'll do it for me today. I'm actually pretty happy with the deathless run of Pokemon Sun. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you guys can, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, my name has been Alpha. I hope you guys all had a great day, and I'm out. Peace.